Dave Wilson, Chief of Police, City of Shell Lake. I've been with the city now, this will be my 21st year. I've been the Chief of Police since 2012 in October, and I've been asked to talk a little bit about the impacts of drugs and other substances, emphasis on methamphetamine and the impact to our communities. Without any specific numbers, all the agencies, including ours in our communities in the area, have seen a very large increase in the impact of illegal and illicit drugs and how they impact several categories of our community. Our mental health calls over the last 24 months have increased at an approximate rate of 35 to 40%. That coincides with a lot of other areas as well. Our Child Protective Services case, our DEC cases, which is drug endangered children. We have a new name for that now. It's called the M team. The end result is children that may or may not be living in safe homes and environment due to that environment having illicit drugs and behaviors that go along with those in their homes. Our property crimes are just about at the same rate, and the common denominator in all these is that when we investigate a situation, a domestic call, a property crime, or a burglary call, when we're able to identify a suspect and we look at their histories and we interview people, about 50% of the time in a lot of these calls, the underlying issue is drugs or alcohol. The last 24 months, methamphetamine has really been the draw drug, so to speak. It's the one that is extremely detrimental, it's extremely addictive, and people that would not normally do things that we're investigating or being involved with are doing that because the drug is overpowering their ability to make good decisions. And again, all these categories, property crimes or burglaries and thefts, one of the underlying issues, they need money for their drugs, their habits. So they steal things because often they lose their own normal jobs, their normal sources of incomes. Sexual assaults, people that are not making good decisions, they're not in their right mind due to the influence of the chemical in their systems, will often do behavior, to include sexual assault. Methamphetamine specifically is a hyper-sexually active drug due to the way that the chemicals work in the brain. And unfortunately, anybody that's exposed to that or available to those people often commit that crime. So our schools have done a very good job at trying to get a good assessment of the impact over this 24-month period. Biannually, or every 2 years, excuse me, they do an AODA assessment. I do go down and look at those numbers and those assessments to see how much of our student body in our schools is increasing, and it appears that it's increasing at the same rate as that we see at our Health and Human Services departments, our police departments. Those different categories seem fairly consistent. Our numbers from our Criminal Justice Coordination Council in Washburn County, which I am one member of, seem to show those numbers as well in the different programmings and through the court system. So obviously drugs is a influential part of just about all the calls we go to. A message I think I'd like to get to the community is, if you see something, say something. We often encounter people that don't want to write statements, don't want to be involved, don't want to see anybody get in trouble, so forth and so on. Often law enforcement is the first step in toward getting help for these individuals and treatment and appropriate programming. Yes, criminal justice and punishment is part of the process, but it's often the trigger point. And we need your help. We can't do it alone. The people in the community, they know who's involved with this type of behavior and activity, and ultimately it impacts the entire community. We need somebody to step up and say, hey, my neighbor's got cars coming at all times of the night. Student body, they know who the students are involved in the use of illegal drugs and substances. Our goal isn't necessarily jail or prison time, it's to get them treatment and help, but often law enforcement the first step to get to that point. So please, if you know what's going on, give us a call, let us investigate it, assist us in ultimately getting these people the treatment that they need, and get them into the system where programming and court-ordered sanctions can be put in place. And on the front end, the prevention, if you haven't done drugs or involved with drugs, don't start. It is quite simply the easiest answer of don't do drugs, and you will not hopefully have that impact your life going forward.